Hello YouTube, this is Dakota from Bowtied Media, and today we've got a brand new edition of This Week in EDM, where we go over songs that came out, well, this week in EDM. As always, this is just my opinion, do not take them as gospel truth, and there is a Spotify link down below for the playlist, which is almost the end of the year playlist here, because we're going to restart in 2025, so let's hop into it. Starting us off in the trash category is UBUR with Computer Time. I'm really not sure what happened to UBUR at this point. Just 2 years ago, they were pumping out some of the best bass music, and now this sounds like someone's first time ever making a rhythm song. The mixing is uneven, and the drops are senseless noise. I'm just super confused on what's going on with UBUR right now. That's it. We're going to move into the bad category. We've got Jason Ross and Daughter with Where in Heaven. This sounds like Jason Ross was trying to imitate Alan Walker's sound, and I do not mean that in a good way. The drops lack any oomph to them, as the mixing is just super flat, and that bright synth lead that just screams like it's trying to copy 2010's NCS. Sure, there are a couple of more modern melodic elements here, but at this point, it's a fusion that just sounds dull. Then we're moving into the meh category, as we've got Steve Aoki and B. Jones with Beautiful. A strange approach to this track for Steve Aoki, going for a really upbeat and lighthearted track, which is not something he usually does, with a more melodic twinge to it. And honestly, it's not terrible. There's a lot of mixing and production elemental questions I have stylistically, but this song sort of just exists. Then we got Gyrofield with A Nymph from the new Flower Burial EP. An intense new project of UK bass and Eurofunk tracks has kind of left me a little more confused more than anything. With this song in particular, I appreciate the complex sound design and production elements, but I sometimes think too much is not a good thing, as this is a harder listen for sure. Maybe I'm just too dumb for Gyrofield. We got CloudNone, Abandon, and Nina Sung with Circles. Honestly, a little underwhelmed, as I thought this was going to be some sort of big melodic track, but not really, and it was kind of more of a standard, fairly, dry cut garage track that feels very CloudNone-esque with just a brighter atmosphere to it. Then we're moving into the good category. We got a lot this week. We've got the Don Diablo remix of Two Hands, originally by Tate McRae. A nice, more danceable version of a big pop tune with an equally as commercially friendly beat. This is a pretty typical safe remix, and I don't necessarily mean that in a bad way with this. I would gladly hear this on the radio or while I'm out and about. We got Shallou with Don't Lose Your Head from the new 24 Autumn EP. Shallou had a great year, and I think this song is a fantastic culmination of his year. A light drum pattern, bright falsetto vocals, and an easy listening electropop groove. A calming tune for sure. Then we got Above and Beyond with Hackney Siren from the new Tranquility Bass Volume 2 EP. A very fitting final track from this EP with a long extended build-in and long singular drop. It just got all those kind of early 2000s trance vibes with a drop that does transform into an almost breakbeat finale. In a vacuum, I think the song is a little underwhelming by itself, but as it works, I would say best in the grand scheme of the holistic EP. We got Paper Skies featuring Meseta with Fireflies, an Owl City Fireflies cover, as the song would entail, with a modern melodic take to it. And while it's a little weird hearing the lyrics without that kind of iconic synth lead from the original, Paper Skies did a great job honoring that original and crafting something unique to his own. It's a fun little cover. We got Dirt Monkey and Smoakland with Higher. Just as one would expect from a collaboration from these two, this is a dense dubstep track with a lot of wubs and just as many dubs. Teetering the line at times into some vomit step even. This is a pretty nice one. Then we got WRLD and Solomon France featuring Chris Quinton with Coming Back. WRLD is back and hanging out with Solomon France for a fairly by-the-books liquid drum and bass track. Other than that last section of each drop, everything was fairly predictable, which isn't necessarily a bad thing, but to do so for what would have or could have been a very momentous return for WRLD does give the track a greater sense of disappointment, even though it's a solid one. Then we've got Party Favors Breathe from the Party Never Dies EP, one of the more underwhelming tracks from a very fantastic EP. The Party Favor alias is coming to an end, and this was a brilliant project to go out on. A mixture of some house, some garage, but all around a great time. Then we got Kashmir with More Than a Feeling. I've been fairly critical of Kashmir the last couple years, but this might just be one of his better tracks. A great blending of Indian sound design and atmosphere and big techno hits. One of the only times in this year, in 2024, where I feel like the big room techno flair feels like more than just trend hopping. We've got Elohim featuring Yoshi Flower with Little Help, a depressed drum and bass tune with a narrative that's uplifting in its content, but very dreary in its performance. One of those doomer songs that you kind of just put headphones on to and rock yourself out with. You're just like, yeah, the world's gonna end, is kind of how the song goes. We got Psytrance Mafia with BOOMBA from the new Breathe Underwater EP. A big new Psytrance cut that is very much expected from this combined alias. Infected Mushroom and Blastoise bring some of their signature production and sound design and tonal movements for a pretty solid longer track. We got Sora and Beastboi with Protection from the Before You Go EP. There is a lot going on with this track, from the Diplo and Sleepy Tom vocal sample from Be Right There to the abrasive, chaotic rhythm production on the main drops. I think there are rumblings and signs of really great things all throughout this track, but the execution was a little lackadaisical, often at times. This was the best track of the EP, though, by far, and if there's anything to listen to, I think it's this one. Then we got Rebecca Black with Sugar Water Cyanide. Yes, Rebecca Black, the one you were thinking of, is continuing her streak of genuinely great electropop singles that'll lead into this brand new project of hers in potentially 2025. And while she may be very blatantly copying the trends and styles of Charlie XCX from this past year, she's doing it with a more bubblegum bass flair to it, which I deeply appreciate. And we got Rebel Scum and Gracie Van Brunt with It's You. I absolutely adore Rebel Scum's hard-hitting, aggressive dance floor drum and bass on this latest cut, and simultaneously really don't like Gracie's vocals. The two feel contradictory and do not in any way complement each other. That being said, this is one of my favorite Rebel Scum tracks of the year. Based off of the production alone, it's probably his best in a while. Then we got the Enema remix of Eusexua from FKA Twigs. Ironically, one of Enema's strongest tracks of 2024. The glitchy techno works well with Twigs' original track and vocals. This remix does a great job of mixing up a lot of the original song and making it feel like its own, and Enema kind of just cooks on this. We got Tokyo Machine with the Play VIP. Even though this song is in its own right a fantastic VIP with a lot of fun production elements all throughout, it's hard to beat the original for how iconic it really is. I do appreciate the switch up into an almost like truly hardcore finale to really switch things up, but I personally would just say go listen to the original. We've got Habstract with Don't Stop, a funky bass house cut with a groovy, almost disco-esque beat and synth hits. This track has a great back and forth between these dense, heavy sound design elements and lighter production. It's a really nice one from Habstract and one of my favorites from him this year. We got Company and Cyclops with Brainbusta, one of those tracks that just perfectly sounds like the combination of the two artists collaborating. You've got that kind of crushing metallic dubstep from Company, as well as the more minimalistic sound design heavy weight of Cyclops. I'm not so typically into these abrasive tracks, but this one just works in all the right ways. We've got RL Grime and Knock2 featuring Abi Flynn with Come Alive. I do think this track starts a little on the slower side of things, but quickly picks up the pacing. Unlike the last RL Grime and ISO Knock collab, this one really does feel like two distinct movements of Knock2 going first and RL Grime second, which isn't better or worse than the true kind of mix mash. But yeah, this is another huge track that's pretty great, but not nearly as good as Smack Talk was to me. We got Ace Aura and Amity with Illuminate, a longer, more drawn-out, fantastic tune from these two. Ace Aura's melodic production is in full force, while Amity brings a lot to the table in their own right. I seriously love how long this track is and how fleshed out the whole thing feels. got Dactyl with Never Make It. Another more atmospheric electronica cut from Dactyl with plucky synths on the lead melody and a soft piano pretty much everywhere else. I really loved the vocal chops on this one as well, as Dactyl has been really crushing it in 2024, and yeah, this is just another great tune. We got Mode Step with Kiss You. Mode Step absolutely unloaded for this new UKF 15-year anniversary track. It's a perfect blend of his classic sound and keeping things new and fresh. This is a dubstep lover's dream, whether you like the modern stuff or the golden oldies. And finally, we've got one last track in the standout category, and it is Tate B with Hot One from the new Distortion Theory EP. This might just be the purest form of dubstep in 2024. The perfect blend of classic early dubstep with all the bells and whistles of a track from 2024. Just enough wub and plenty of dub. This EP as a whole might just be the best of 2024. We'll have to see with the year-end lists. But that's been it for this week in EDM. Let me know what you guys think of any and all songs in the comment section below. But other than that, I'm Dakota from Bowtied Media, and I'll see you guys in another